Welcome to Brothers-In-Flaw Sports. I'm your host, Normie, and this week is Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Bowl, Bowl. It is Super Bowl week. Cunhado, how you feeling?
I'm so excited for the game. I know one of the three of us is excited, yet also probably sick at his stomach about it. I'm just psyched for it because I don't think that there could be, if you could have scripted it from game 1 to game 17, two more perfect teams to match up for this moment. I'm psyched.
Well, and it's
Same.
one of the matchups that you probably could have said in the preseason, hey, this is what we're going to get. So one of the rare seasons that everything went kind of the way it was supposed to, even though for a lot of KC season it didn't appear that it was going to. And then for San Francisco's last two playoff games, it didn't appear that it was going to.
Yeah, there were some nail biters there, but they pulled them out and they made it. So, I mean, let's just get right into it. Cunhado, what you got on this one?
I mean, this is tough. I mean, on the one hand, they came into the season with the best roster in the NFL. I think that they have the most talent, and then they accrued Chase Young. Obviously, he's amazing, and we'll see what he does in the offseason. Preseason, before the season starts, they get Hargraves. I mean, they're just loaded everywhere. Obviously, all the offensive weapons that people rave about and all that stuff. But then you've got on the other side a roster that people thought might be taking a step backwards, and not like a rebuild. I don't think you rebuild with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, and then how their season kind of went to start the year and everything. A lot of doubters, a lot of boo birds and whatnot. But when it came time to get the job done, the Chiefs did what they've done since Patrick Mahomes has been starting there, and they win. It's the first time in his starting career where the road didn't have to go through Kansas City. Thought that might maybe hinder them. Nope, they still get it done. They look like the best team in the AFC throughout the playoffs. And now it's kind of, I don't know, like a clash of titans perhaps, where best roster versus championship pedigree, and let's see what happens. I don't know. I'm psyched about it. Overall, all time, they've only faced each other in the regular season 14 times. They are exactly 7-7. And in the playoffs, only one time have the Niners, and this is all according to Pro Football Reference, they've played each other one time in the playoffs, a Super Bowl just a few years ago, 1-0 for the Chiefs. Now we get to see it again. Will it be 1-1, just like the regular season is 7-7? I don't know. I'm here for it, though. I'm psyched.
Santana?
I also am psyched, and that's all I want to say about it. No, this, like Kenyatta said, this is kind of what a lot of people had maybe expected with San Francisco's roster coming into the season. It's actually one of the reasons, and I've spoke on about it here before, the pressure that this team and this coaching staff and this franchise and this fan base have to be feeling, because the window only is open for so long. You don't often get to be the Patriots unless you're Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You don't get to just show up every year. And now I know that's, coming from a San Francisco fan who has frequented the NFC Championship here a lot lately. The window, but that's we created a big window for ourselves, and that window can only stay open for so long. So I feel extremely nervous. I want this win so badly. Obviously, anybody would, but thinking about if Kyle drops this one and what will get said about him, and then how much just shit that we as fans will have to listen to about, can he win the big one? Will he ever win the big one? I was talking earlier about how I was kind of relieved to think about Andy Reid's career and how he had a very similar trajectory in the way of going to a bunch of NFC championships, making a Super Bowl, but still never able to win the big game. And that gave me a little relief. Okay, it doesn't have to happen this year. Kyle will find his groove later. But there's two issues with that. Andy Reid moved teams, and I don't want to lose Kyle Shanahan. And Andy Reid, 20 years older than Kyle, and just now doing it, so I don't want to wait 20 more years to be here. So I'm excited. I wish that it had been almost any other AFC team. You know, I told y'all I really wanted the Baltimore Ravens because I thought that what happened in the regular season on Christmas was not really an indication of like a good comparison between the two teams. I think that some freak things went on. I think it could have been different. I wanted a rematch. I was scared of the Bills because of how hot they had gotten. But then, like Kenyatta said, they know how to be here. They get in the playoffs. The season was long. The receivers weren't catching passes. Travis Kelce had one of his worst years, even though he basically had 1,000 yards. Still did Travis Kelce things. But you're not seeing the flashy plays. They're losing on silly mistakes and drop passes. And you're like, okay, well, the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs this year. Well, they, of course, still make it. And what are they doing but winning because they know how to do it? So on paper, and I said this to Kenyatta earlier, on paper, I think San Francisco this should be a game that San Francisco wins and maybe even wins easily. But with Andy Reid on the sideline and Patty taking snaps, I'm extremely nervous. I can't wait. I wish it was Sunday already. I also wish I wasn't a 49ers fan so I could enjoy what this game actually could be. I think that it could be a explosive or defensive battle in the way that it is. Neither team can stop the run, so we'll see. And both teams can run the ball, so see how it goes. So Sunday can't get here fast enough.
So that kind of feels like, like how Alabama fans used to feel all the time of coming up on the playoffs and even in the national championships, things like that, where it's like, yeah, I would really kind of like to watch this just to enjoy it, but also like checking my watch and my normal heart rate is like, 45, and then like all throughout the game, my heart rate is like, 110.
Well,
And my wife can tell you, the yelling and screaming and all that. Not really screaming, but the yelling,
Yeah.
Well, I've thought about it since the end of the NFC Championship game that, generally I like to have people over and food, and it's Super Bowl Sunday is one of my favorite days, even though San Francisco has hardly been there for most of my, football watching life. But when my team is in it, it becomes so much less about the day and the fun and the festivities and more about like, I just need to focus on this game, and this game needs to hurry up and be over, and it needs to end in my favor. Like if it goes to overtime or if there's some, daring comeback again, or like, I just like as much fun as I had the last 2 weeks when they won, I can't sit there and watch that game on the Super Bowl with the same team that we lost to last time, with the same coach and same receiver or same quarterback, missing one specific receiver. But I don't know. Here we go, I guess, is where we're at.
Yeah, that's been my thing. I've always wanted to invite people over to do stuff for Alabama games. But I'm like, yeah, no, I will not be. I can hold it in for about a half, but if it's going sideways after about a half, I'm like, yeah, I'm cheering. I'm being a fan.
Well, I think my mom and dad were here the last time San Francisco played Kansas City in the Super Bowl, and we did not win that game. And I'm pretty sure neither of them had watched a 49er game with me all season. I was like, I will never make that mistake again. I love you both, and you can come over for other fun shit, but never again.
But yeah, with this one, I mean, records are pretty much kind of the same. I know I didn't watch as much in the regular season. I have watched all these playoff games, but it seemed like Kansas City did have to fight and claw their way to make it to this far. But I do want to ask, I know one of the big things that I feel like in this game, it's definitely going to be that second half, especially if you look at the past two games for the 49ers, where they've, been down and then steamrolled their way back into winning these two games. But if you look at Kansas City, like you look at last week, or the last playoff game or championship game, they didn't score a point in the second half. So how do y'all think, this second half or things like that are going to play out? Because, it's tale of two different, teams.
Go ahead, Kenyatta.
Well, I mean, I think that you're gonna have to fight and claw for every yard for both teams. I've heard, I think it's Peyton Manning said that he thinks it's going to be a shootout. I don't think it's going to be that gravy. I think it's going to be more like kind of a defensive struggle. In looking at Purdy and Mahomes' numbers for the year, they are nearly identical. Purdy actually edges him in almost everything, but Purdy has Kittle, and not a knock on Purdy. You guys know how I feel about Purdy. Purdy's amazing. He's actually, as Ludacris, the rapper, would say, has played ludicrously this season, plus his 8 games starting last year. The man does nothing but win. He's 12-4 this year as a starter. Patrick Mahomes is 10-6. But I still do think that even though that these teams are kind of renowned for their offenses, specifically Shanahan and Reed being offensive guys, I think that it happens in the trenches, defensive line versus offensive line, and whoever can control that line of scrimmage wins the game. And I'm not sure which one's going to be able to do it, honestly. Pacheco, I mean, he's insane. And then obviously McCaffrey is insane. Both of those guys are basically your lead back. But then you get to, I think Edwards-Helaire is not on the injury list this week. And I even think that McKinnon is now back. And then you got Elijah Mitchell and Santana. You really like that guy. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. Y'all's third string guy.
JP Mason.
JP Mason. I mean, fuck, can they run? So just, I think that it's going to be about the run game more than the quarterbacks. I'm here for either style. I don't think that there's going to be a blowout, but I kind of do think that it's either going to be a shootout or a defensive struggle. I don't think it's going to be kind of a middle.
As far as the halftime situation or second half situation goes, if San Francisco allows Kansas City to do what Detroit did or Green Bay, like if they can't allow this team to be up, that this team would be the type of team to put a foot on the neck. Detroit, we keep coming back to pedigree, and I just really think in a situation, if you give Kansas City the amount of points that you gave Detroit, like Kansas City puts the throttle down and holds it together. I don't think is as good as San Francisco has looked, as coming out at halftime, as the last 2 comeback weeks. They as much firepower and horsepower as they have, I just don't think that you come back against Mahomes the way that you do a Jared Goff or a young guy like Jordan Love. I do think that it's going to the entire game. If it doesn't come down to the run game, both coaches are not watching film. Like that's where I'm at on this. Kyle, he has a tendency to want to do what Kyle wants to do, but if you're not running directly at the teeth of this defense for at least the first 10 plays, like Kansas City, I think finished 31st, specifically against the inside zone play. But both teams' inside run defense is not very good. San Francisco has shown that they are kind of weak getting to the edge, which I don't understand. There's all pro names all over the defensive front. I don't understand how you can just run at will against these guys. But if Pacheco and Christian aren't getting a lot of touches early on in the game, I will be shocked and mad on my end. I will be pretty pissed. I think that the key to the game for San Francisco is to force Mahomes to drop back, because as good as they are, as good as they have been at running the football, and as good as they are as an offense in Mahomes, I think our best chance is to make him get ahead, to make him throw the football so we can use the pass rush, because that is something they are actually good at. But what we need to do to get there is to hand it to Christian. like 40 touches a game. And I'm not even kidding. Like the Jimmy Garoppolo game where he throws it 8 times. Like that's what I'm talking about. I want Brock to go out and win MVP and shut everybody up, but I think to win the game, it might benefit to just turn around and hand it off all game.
Well, I don't think Brock will have a problem with that because, I think he seems like a team player kind of guy. Just, I want to go out there, do my job. And if his job is to hand it off, then he's going to go out there and do it. But on the flip side, you got Mahomes, you got the experience, but also he's a team guy as well. He goes out there, he does his job and finds that way to win. So I do think if the run game is a big factor in it, we're looking at a very short Super Bowl, and especially that second half. But like you said, if the Chiefs do get up early and the first half, and their run game is going, it could be pretty tough to claw back from that one.
Well, yeah, because both teams have really, really good defenses. And I was reading a bunch of stuff earlier about how San Francisco's defense had been overrated going into the season, and they're overrated now, and this, that, or the other. And yeah, we are like really weak against the run, but the secondary and the pass rush are among the elite. And because San Francisco has been able to get ahead of teams and grind down teams, they have been able to. Teams have to go away from the run. And I think that there is an option to do that against Kansas City. This is one of those games that whoever gets the first stop, like that's going to be a big deal type of thing. I don't think that it's necessarily going to be a shootout, but I do think that the team that gets the first stop is going to be a big deal because both quarterbacks can make big plays. You give them 3rd and 6, it's almost a guaranteed first down realistically. Both teams can run extremely well. Both teams have a dominant force down the middle. San Francisco has great outside guys. Kadarius Toney thinks he's a number 1. He said so the other day. I think most number 1s catch more footballs than he does, but that's not even that's at least dropless. That's not even talking shit to Kansas City. That's just like, all right, bud. Like, I appreciate your talent. I could obviously never do it, but let's calm down with all that. But yeah, so I think the game, and going back to it being short, Normie, like I think that is where the stops become so important because we may be looking at 12, 14, 16 play drives that take 10, 15 minutes off the clock. That's dangerous for either of these offenses or either of these defenses because these offenses can score quickly or they can score slowly. So, I mean, it's going to be a clock control game. The more I talk about it, the more like agitated I am getting. Just because I know that they're on paper, like San Francisco should win. Like this roster should beat this Kansas City team, and I just know that they have a guy that stuff doesn't matter. And
you feeling like the Mel Brooks film High Anxiety?
A little bit.
Oh man. So who do y'all? So talking about defenses, who do y'all think is gotta have that big game for either team or both teams? Who do y'all think that guy has to play lights out for their team to win?
Like a defensive player?
Yeah, just a defensive player that like
you can go ahead, Senton. I just wanted
to know,
who can take talking about
who needs to take over the game for their team to win.
It's specifically got to be somebody in the front 7 for either team. Again, going back to neither team being able to stop the run, so put it on either of the interior guys for San Francisco, Fred Warner. But that's the thing is like some of these guys I just expect like Fred Warner won't have a bad game. That's not the type of player he is. That guy will show up. Bosa would be a big one, him or Chase Young, because again, I think that our best chance is to get Patty throwing, and the reason we need him throwing is because we can get to him versus stopping Pacheco running all over us.
Yeah,
so
especially with Kansas City having the tackle that has the most holding penalties called on him.
Well, and a lot has been said about that in the lead up to this week, Super Bowl week overall. Bosa was asked what does he see about Kansas City's offensive line on film. He simply answered, they hold a lot. I think Jed York said something about it when he was interviewed, talking about when Bosa got held in the first Super Bowl. It's just been out there. Like, it's kind of like now under a microscope, and I don't know if that will impact the calls. But I mean, we've talked on here before about how garbage NFL holding has gotten to at this point. Like, if you have a superstar, an Aaron Donald, a Nick Bosa, an Aiden Hutchinson, anybody like that,
Chris Jones for the Chiefs.
Chris Jones for the Chiefs, who was going to be my answer for the Chiefs. Those guys, you just have to watch those guys get double teamed and held, because I mean, realistically, if they called it every time those guys got held, there would be one every play. But, and that's not even like the cliche, you can call it every play. Obviously you could, but with these guys, I'm talking like hooked in the shoulder pads and around the neck, and that's for a lot of players. And so, I mean, obviously you can't do it, otherwise the game wouldn't move forward. But at the same time, like, some of these are huge. I mean, the Chiefs, talking about the hold on Bosa for a big first down in the drive on the hold on Bosa in the Chiefs game, and that, I'm pretty sure they went down to take the lead on the drive. We lost the game, just in case anybody listening is not aware. But and you see it every week, and I mean, specifically the guys that I named. But I mean, Myles Garrett, like, you see guys just riding on his back and nothing getting called. So we'll see if the talking about it has given any kind of, you know, I don't know. I doubt they call it any more than they would, but I bet they'll be watching. More people will be watching anyway. I think that it was a planned thing for that to get pointed out.
Yeah. Who is the home and who's the away team?
We're wearing white.
So you are wearing white. So you may have a better chance because, Chiefs wearing their red gloves on the white. So you may have a better chance of getting more holding calls on them. Plus, like I said, they have the most holding calls in the league. So
it's not like we didn't know that this was going on. We knew. But I don't know.
Also, it might be gravy for the Chiefs as far as wearing the red, because 16 of the last 19 teams to win the Super Bowl were wearing the whites. The Chiefs, it was the AFC's turn to pick their jerseys, so I guess they're technically home. They chose to wear their reds. They're one of the 3 teams to wear the color jersey, the home jerseys, and win. And the last time it happened was against the Niners. So I don't know. Yep. Once again, it's a weird statistic: 16 to 19 whites jerseys winning against the. It just that does shock me, but once again, might be gravy for the Chiefs, because
the weird stat that I'm looking forward to is when Lance Taylor makes his pick, and he may have already. I haven't listened to the show a whole lot. Lance Taylor of the next round, but he is really garbage at picking Super Bowls, and I don't know what his last 2 have been, but he definitely picked us when San Francisco lost to Kansas City in 2019. So that's the one I'm really looking forward to, and I may tweet saucy things at him if he picks San Francisco.
You don't want him landmine you.
Yeah, I mean, everybody gets mad at Dunaway. I can get mad at LP.
Yeah. Or you could just have Cunyato send you a text or tell you, hey, looks like y'all might win this one.
I only do that when it seems like a foregone conclusion. It's done. It doesn't turn out that it is.
And then Tom Brady has the game of his life, and I end up losing by 1 point in the playoffs. So let's switch sides to the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, Cunyato, you've talked about the trenches and that being a big thing. What about these quarterbacks? I mean, what do y'all think? Well, let's start with Brock Purdy. What do y'all think he has to do to win this game?
All right. I actually have a little bit written on Brock Purdy here. Right. Just some numbers. I mean, everybody thought, because he's Mr. Irrelevant, that he is 10 ply. Actually 10 10 ply, he actually would have been like 2 ply. Like everybody thought he was soft. But go to a song that I just recently listened to, Amarillo Sky by Jason Aldean. He gets up before the dawn, packs a lunch and a thermos full of coffee. It's another day in the dusty haze. His burning rays wearing down his body, but he just keeps on coming back. That guy just stands in there, and you see some of the throws that he makes, and he's getting crushed, but he puts it exactly where he needs to. I don't understand the burying that he's taken. Last year, he was kind of like the unsung hero. This year, everybody's trying to find a reason as to why he doesn't make sense or why he's bad. I don't understand. Statistically, we're talking about Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes. Brock Purdy 12-4 in the regular season. Patrick Mahomes 10-6. Brock Purdy 69.4% completion percentage. Patrick Mahomes 67.2. Brock Purdy 4,280 total yards passing. Patrick Mahomes 4,183. Brock Purdy 31 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes 27-14. Do I think that Brock Purdy is as physically gifted as Patrick Mahomes? I don't. But what it really comes down to, Brock Purdy's a fucking winner. And that's what he's done since he got the starting job, which took 2 injuries to get him in there. So a lot of parallels. I mean, obviously Tom Brady is shortly removed from the league, and there's a lot of parallels for Mahomes and the Chiefs and the franchise that they're doing for the dynastic run that the Patriots did. But as far as like the scrappy underdog, Purdy is that guy. Mahomes was the number 10 overall pick. I'm kind of, and I know Santana's going to back me up on this, and I've heard it all year long. I'm kind of sick of people like trying to detract from him. Patrick Mahomes might be the most overall gifted quarterback I've ever watched in my life, but do not count this cat out. When it comes nut cutting time, I mean, he puts his team in a position to win. And so you're watching Purdy being an immovable object versus Mahomes an unstoppable force. Once again, I'm here for it. I'm psyched about it. But I do think that the detraction from Purdy's overall talent physically has gotten way too loud, because when it comes down to it, the man wins games.
Well, it's been said a lot of times by the people who actually know, if he was 6'4" and had been drafted in the top 10, then nobody would be talking about this. Like, it drives me insane to sit. The people who talk shit about Brock Purdy are not watching football games. They're not like, maybe not even just San Francisco. They may not just be watching any football games, because what the kid does week in and week out is perform and answer questions. People say, you can't do this, you can't do that. He goes out there and he does this and that. Green Bay played like shit. The kid's got a weather issue. We talked about this last week. Kid's got a weather issue. We're going to have to figure that out. Maybe just, I don't know, play Darnold in the wet games. I really don't know. But against Green Bay, he plays like shit. He comes in when it matters most and walks them down the field, makes throw after throw when he has to have it. They come back. Oh, it doesn't count. It doesn't count that they came back in the fourth quarter. It was only 7 points. Is that really a comeback? Okay. All right, fine. Detroit comes out and smashes. I don't even blame Brock or his play for what Detroit did. I said that last week. Like, Detroit just came out and were beating San Francisco. It wasn't that San Francisco's beating themselves. Brock comes out at halftime and goes straight assassin mode and starts hitting some miraculous stuff, like that throw. And I'm not even talking about that pinpoint accurate throw off the guy's face mask that bounced it directly to you.
Totally on purpose.
On purpose. I mean, how else? That wasn't an accident. Are you trying to throw it at somebody's face? Come on.
I just got to know, you know how, like, when we were growing up and you were shooting basketball and, you'd shoot the ball and be like, Kobe, and shoot it. When he threw that ball, did he say Jordan Hare and throw it?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I said, as soon as the play happened, I said, all of my Alabama friends are going to text about this. Like, that's I'm going to hear a lot about that. But that throw was whatever it was. But the throw that he throws to Juwan Jennings, that Juwan Jennings has to climb the ladder and gets with one hand, that throw looks like it's lucky. But if you watch the tape, he has a linebacker beelining for Juwan. So he sees Juwan Jennings standing there wide open. He cocks it back. And then he sees this cat booking it towards the middle. Like if he throws it directly to Juwan, interception. So in the middle of his throw, he has to turn it to a flip that, of course, like, yes, he has great players around him. I love every single player on that football team. They are all amazing. But that's not his fault. Like, can we talk about how, like, he got drafted by the people he got drafted by? He plays for the coach he plays for. And yes, this team has been crazy. That's, again, going back to the pressure of having to win now. This roster is insane. And John and Kyle have done an amazing job building where we're at right now. Have y'all seen the stuff? Like Jed York said that Kyle told him in the preseason of last year that he thinks the third string quarterback is the best on the roster. Did y'all see those reports?
I did see
I've
that.
heard about it.
Yeah.
John Lynch corroborated, and he said he was kind of pissed because he hadn't said that to him yet, so he just said it to the owner just in front of him. He's like, "What the hell?" But I mean that, and then Kyle had to say like, "Hey, I'm not changing anything because Jed and John's situation were." Well, we're paying one quarterback a bunch of money and we spent a bunch of draft picks on the other quarterback, and you're telling me the guy we took last in the draft is the best on the roster. But that doesn't surprise me. I mean, what he does well, he does a good job of taking the chances that need to be taken, making plays when they are not there, and then also doing exactly what Kyle wants. It's the perfect marriage. And I don't understand how people get so bent out of shape. JJ Watt said that most of the time America pulls for the underdog. Like 99% of the time, they are pulling for the guy that would be drafted last. Like if this Tom Brady, people love Tom Brady. He picked in the 6th round, so many quarterbacks above him, and now he's winning all these Super Bowls. Why are we hating on Brock? Like what? Just because he went to San Francisco? That seems pretty freaking unfair. Like I don't know. I could go on and on. Like this is, I mean. I wrote this note down. One of the major complaints against Brock is he's a check down king, or it's yards after contact for. All right, so this year he had his 48% of his yards, around 48% of his yards came from yards after contact or yards after catch. When Mahomes won MVP last year, he had well over 50%. It was like 54% of yards after catch. So he and right now currently he is above the majority of the the quarterbacks that we talk about, Hurts and Mahomes and Lamar and all these guys that we want to put above Brock because Brock is just a check down king. All of these guys have Dak Prescott. I want to make sure to get Dallas in there. All of these guys have more yards by yards after catch than Brock does. Brock, for the most of the year, I don't know where he stands currently, but for most of the year, air yards per attempt, he was leading. That means where the receiver catches the ball. And it was like just over 10 yards. And everybody else was around like the 8. So everybody else, even though Brock is the check down king and can only do it because Debo and Ayuk and Kittle all catch the ball and Christian catch the ball and run it for a lot, he was leading in how far he threw the ball where a completion was happening. You can't throw against pressure. He's like number 1 against the blitz. So pressure him and he folds. He's number 1. Like pressure, please pressure him. That's when he's at his best. Like I don't think he's thrown any interceptions under pressure this year. It's been unfair. I've got an article coming out on this hopefully tomorrow. I'll post that where people can see it. But it's frustrating because I've listened to it all year, and Kenyatta was on Brock before I was, because I like Trey and I like Jimmy, and I didn't trust, very similarly to the way that the rest of the world has been treating him this year. Like I didn't trust this small. I watched him at Iowa State though. Like I liked Brock Purdy. When Brock Purdy got drafted, I said, excellent. He's going to be a fantastic camp arm. He's a dude that I would want in my locker room. Excited to have him, but he probably won't make the team. Then he beats out a guy that we traded for to be the third guy. Beats out a guy that we traded away value to have. He beat him out. Then it's like, okay. Then he comes in preseason. He plays pretty well in the preseason, but I'm still thinking like, okay, all right. He's, and then when it all falls apart and he comes in and just is almost flawless, but I'm sitting here watching him throw to linebackers' chest that are dropping passes. And I'm going, he's getting lucky. Like, I like him. He's got some shit in his neck. I'm excited about him, but he's getting lucky. Well, I mean, sometimes it fucking takes luck. And Kenyatta told me, but Ben, he's like, he's good. And now here we are, and I'm sitting here going, he's the king of the world. Like, it drives me insane that because he doesn't look like Josh Allen or run like Josh Allen or Mahomes or whoever you want to put in those shoes. Like, he's torn down. It's what you said, Kenyatta, that people are like finding the moving goalpost. Like, this is all right. This is what he has to. Shannon Sharp said that he won't be behind Brock Purdy until he does the same thing in the Super Bowl. You got to be kidding me, man! Like, he's look what you've asked. He's answered every question that you had, and he's not going to win your respect until he wins the hardest thing to do. Okay, so Dan Marino, Dan Marino's a nobody.
Yeah, he's
one
not
of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Didn't win one. Like,
no.
Come on, man! Like,
it's
really fucking hard to do.
Well, and then
in his second year, went to it in his second year, and then played forever and never went to another one. It's fucking hard, dude. It's hard.
So we're talking that Brad Johnson is an excellent quarterback and was always an excellent quarterback. Yeah, Case Keenum, who was a Super Bowl MVP. So he belongs in the Hall of Fame now just because of that.
God, no. Look, I listen. I have my opinions about plenty of quarterbacks, but the quarterbacks that did that stuff, like the Nick Foles,
Joe Flacco.
Look, man, you know how I feel about Joe Flacco, that motherfucker. Now,
that playoff run was insane.
It was insane, but that's the thing. Same thing for Nick Foles. Like, it is the right moment, right time type like takeoff. Brock has put it on film. It's out there. Like, he does this shit, and it's not just like throwing to wide open receivers. I brought up last week talking about Trey Lance, about how he had this hitch, and then the passes he was completing, he could do some crazy stuff with his arm. I still again believe Trey Lance is going to be successful. Just the fit for where Brock is at. I mean, all right, so Joe Montana was throwing to Hall of Famers. Did people say, "Man, I hate Joe Montana"? Mm-hmm. No, because he played at Notre Dame. He still was drafted in the third round. Like, why? I just don't understand why we're looking at this cat, watching him on tape, seeing what he's doing on the field, and going, "Nah, he's not that good. It's because of everybody else." The throw to Juszczyk. All right, so Kyle said he was getting a play ready for 2nd and 20 because the corner came off the edge and was about to make the sack. Right, Brock ducks, just that was an amazing. I thought I still watched the play and go, he's about to get sacked, because that's how clean this guy had him. Brock ducks, spins out, and then perfect spiral, puts it to where only Juszczyk can have it, first down. Like, he's making these plays. One of the favorite plays I like to point out, and sorry, Billy, if you're listening, the second game against Seattle, we got up pretty good, but Seattle was kind of pushing. And he throws a ball between 4 defenders that nobody can make. He's also insanely accurate. That's another thing nobody talks about. He's got ridiculous touch, the layered throws over the middle. He's got enough arm strength to matter, and then the intermediate throws, he's got plenty of zip. Like, I just don't see what people are looking at, and I just think that it's lazy. I think it's lazy media. I say this all the time. Like, the narrative on Brock, very similar to how pissed I got about when people were mad at Jimmy when he only threw it in the game those 8 times. Like, you didn't see the Saints game where he went toe-to-toe with Drew Brees in the Superdome, threw for 350 and won the game? Like, come on, like, you're just not watching. So why do they have to talk about? I'm heated. I'm sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. I don't understand that either. Like you said, everybody loves an underdog, especially in sports. Yet they just continuously crap on this guy. Like the whole check down king thing. I've watched football a long time. I'm fine with check downs, especially if I would rather have 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5 than 2nd and 10. I mean, who doesn't want that? Or third and 5 or 3rd and 6 instead of 2nd or 3rd and 10. Like, I don't understand that one.
It goes along with the game manager moniker. Like, they call him a game manager. It's like, well, yeah, don't you want the game managed? Like, I don't want him to just get back there and run around and throw it as far as he can. Like, I would like him to take the open shot. And he does. Like, that's a lot of what a lot of people say that Jimmy Garoppolo did the same thing. And if you look at 2019 versus this year, the stats are pretty similar. But I am more. I know this subject more intimately than most would because I have lived it for a while. But what Jimmy did was hold on to the ball. He didn't take. Ayuk said recently that the difference between Brock and everybody else is that you used to be able to know if you were running a clear out route that's all you were doing, running the route. And now you know that, like, no matter what you're doing on the field, there's a good chance you're going to get it, because if Brock sees it, he's going to throw it. And I think that's what you need. Like, there's that gunslinger mentality, like that pull the trigger. He knows what to do, and he makes huge plays and huge decisions while operating under what exactly Kyle wants to do. I think that Kyle liked Jimmy at first. I think that Kyle really did like Trey and wanted Trey to work out. But I've not seen a look between Kyle and one of his quarterbacks, like when Brock came off the field after taking the knee in the NFC Championship. Like, I think that Kyle knows that he's got a dude. And I don't know. I know what the nation, like, media will say if Brock underperforms in the Super Bowl. But as far as I'm concerned, like, he's also in his second year. Have we mentioned that he's only in his second year? He's a baby. He's a toddler, guys. Like, can we just, like, and he's a nice kid. He just seems like a nice boy, Like, I don't understand the hate. I just don't get it. Like, stats back him up. History backs him up. His personality, the team. I mean, listen to Trent Williams, the Deebo Samuel, like, these, like, veterans, these guys that know football. They're like, yeah, he's a killer. We're on Brock. That's, the defense believes in him. Like, I think, all right, regardless, here's my final take on Brock is regardless of what you think that he is what he is now with San Francisco. If he had gone to Dallas, he may have been garbage. We may have never heard of him if he had gone literally to any of the other 31 teams, but he's here and he's doing this. So that's what I got.
One of the things too is, you can have a lot of good weapons around you, but just Brock's, like, his ability to trust in his weapons as well. Like, hey, this is a guy, I know I can throw this ball, 10 feet in the air, but this guy's going to go up and at least going to give us a chance for him to catch it, kind of
100%.
thing.
Yeah, it's a mixture between the trust in himself and the trust in his guys and knowing his guys. Like, he seems to have a really good chemistry with basically everybody he throws to.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking earlier about Kelsey and Kittle's comparisons and how at one point, I don't know if the stats still stand, but Kittle had the same stats at that age that Kelsey did at that age. So, like, Kittle was 27 or whatever, and they had the same stats at the time. And I said, well, as long as Brock is throwing to Kittle, like, Kittle has a chance to compete and stay with Kelsey because he just seems to have a knack for finding George. And it's proven. But that's another thing. Like, yes, these guys are amazing, but I think San Francisco is the first team to ever have 2 receivers, 1 running back, and a tight end all go for over 1,000 yards and scrimmage yards. That's wild. That's not just those guys. Like, he's not throwing sideline to sideline and just letting these guys run. Like, that's him delivering these big throws to these guys. Well, I mean, and think about Peyton Manning. Nobody talks about Peyton Manning played with Hall of Fame receivers around him the majority of the time that he was with the Colts. When he started with the Colts, Marshall Faulk was the running back. And then when he won his second Super Bowl or the first Super Bowl with Denver, but his second Super Bowl overall, that receiving core and running back group was also pretty insane. And the defense was amazing. Like, it really is. It really just has to do with who he is, like, where he's from. Like, if he had done the same thing at Alabama, which Nick Saban told him that he was not very good, that's not what he said. We can get into that later. But if he had done that at Alabama, done all the things that he did at Iowa State, or just done what Alabama has done as the starting quarterback, we wouldn't be talking about this. Stetson Bennett. Everybody was excited to see what Stetson Bennett was going to do because he had been at Georgia and been winning at Georgia. But no, what Brock did at Iowa State, and we can move on. I've made my point.
I do have one more question. You brought up the Nick Saban thing, so I gotta ask.
Mm.
Do y'all think that was maybe some kind of reverse psychology type of thing?
With
Or
him,
did
it
you
would not surprise me.
because he
He's
is
a
a coach and it's like, hey, you don't really fit in
Saban.
here,
Saban
but
is
you give him
Saban.
that comment just to, give him that spark and be like, you know what, I'm gonna prove that effer wrong.
Well, and Saban probably knew that. I mean, I think that he's notorious for nitpicking. Like, I think that's one of his biggest recruiting sells. Where like he didn't come in and get on his knees. He came in and said, "This is what you need to do better to be able to play for us." Like he set the standard before you even walk through the door, type of deal. So yeah, I mean, even if Brock had said, "Yeah, I'll walk on," or "I'll commit," if he was ever offered, like Saban, like I'm sure Saban knew Brock was good, like that. You know how I feel. I trust that man ridiculously.
He's pretty good at his job, I think. I don't know. I haven't heard him too much.
just a little bit. It's a pretty good golfer from what I hear.
Didn't he just
The
commit?
bionic hip.
Didn't he just sign something with ESPN? Isn't he going to be on?
Yep, he's gonna be on
Yeah.
game day.
Yeah, stoked about that.
I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah, because
And does he end up taking Lou's spot? Like, is that
Corsos?
yeah? Lee. I combined them.
Yeah, I said Case Keenum earlier, but it was Nick Foles. But
We're good at this. We're good at this.
yeah, I don't know why I get those two. They just
together.
seem like the same person. I don't know why. They just always seem like the same person.
Oh,
But,
yeah,
they've been on the same teams, not like together, but I think they've played for more than one of the
they
same
were both
team.
Rams.
They were both Rams, and that may be the only one. But
I don't know. I don't know about the
Rams.
rest, but they were both Rams at some point.
Were they at the Vikings together?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I will tell you that Case Keenum at the Vikings, though, when they beat the Saints on the last like big throw, is one of my favorite sports moments of all time, because they go out there just for the 2-point conversion after they've scored, and he leads the stadium in the skull chant, and I don't know, chills, man. That's what sports are about. Like that was neat.
Alrighty, but yeah, I think Saban. He said he made a comment kind of like that he does like to work and he's fine with working. He just doesn't want to work too much. So that's why he kind of went with the game day thing, because he's only working, a couple months out of the year, unless he does like an in-studio show, which I don't see him really doing something like that. That'd be golf time for him.
Right.
Well, that's a whole show that we can get into, post Super Bowl once, we'll have plenty of time over the coming weeks, because changing landscape of college football, probably from this show until next week, maybe even do 2 shows next week for a Super Bowl recap if Santana is up to it, depending on outcome, and then regular Thursday show.
I may need it.
For either way.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need it if we win. I'm going to need to spew, but I may need some just helping hands and loving arms.
A lot of draft news from now until April, post this Sunday. I'm excited for it, but what I will say, once again, topic we can get into later, I think that the changing landscape of college football, with just briefly touch on it, NIL and the transfer portal, it literally chased the greatest of all time out of the game. And we can delve into that if you guys want to later. I don't want to do it here.
And the current national champions head coach out of the league.
I know. I mean, I mean, in seeing
UCLA's Chip Kelly to an offensive coordinator position.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's wild. It seems like it's getting a little bit too complicated, too murky, too muddy. It ain't gravy. Like, they want to move on, because the NFL, you get off time. There is no off time in college football anymore. But anyways, that's for a different show. That's all I'll say about that. Unless you guys want to talk about it, but I would play devil's advocate, because we've really given Purdy all the props these last I don't know, probably like 20 minutes, I guess, on Purdy.
Yeah. Sorry.
We haven't. That's fine. I don't care. I mean, Normie, do you care?
Nope, not at all.
We haven't talked
I like
about
it.
the opponent, and obviously, I knew that Santana was going to get jazzed about Purdy. I mean, that's his dude. The opponent is Patrick Mahomes, and obviously, you can't like just brush that by. If there is currently a second coming, after Michael left the game, everybody wanted to know who the next Michael Jordan was going to be. LeBron might be there ish, but I mean,
Kobe. It's clearly Kobe.
Kobe ring wise for sure, and style of play 100%.
They just unveiled his statue.
Apparently, he's going to need 3 of them, so good for him. He deserves it. He was that excellent, but you are talking about, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the league going up against this guy who has played a total of 30 games, 24-6 in those 30 games for Purdy, which gives him an 80% win percentage. It's excellent. And Mahomes is 88-25 in his 113 games, gives him a 77% win percentage. And he's, obviously had to do it with some changing rosters a lot more than Purdy has had to deal with thus far in 30 games, very short career. And much like, I mean, these quarterbacks are kind of simultaneous, and like when it comes time to get the job done, they are excellent at getting the job done for the most part. Brock Purdy had a 3-game skid where he didn't look the best, but he also didn't look terrible, not in my opinion. I think Santana probably agrees with me on that. Mahomes has bad games, but 2-minute drill, you're down by a score. You want Mahomes helming your team, marching them down the field. And that I really hope that that's what this game gives us. I know that Santana does not. In fact, probably need to grab a defib machine pre this weekend for you, buddy.
An oxygen tank.
Yeah, an oxygen tank. Some just anti-anxiety meds. a little CBD. I don't know.
Nah, man. I want to feel it.
But I mean, what Mahomes has done in 6 years of starting is only go to 4 Super Bowls in those 6 years. 1, 2 of 3 so far. We'll see what happens if he goes 3-1 or 2-2. But yeah, like let's not put all of Purdy and what he's done over, once again, what all Mahomes has done over a much longer span, much longer, 33, 67% longer. So you're seeing like this young up and comer who, once again, 24-6. That's insane. And he is literally Mr. Irrelevant. And obviously, Mahomes, first round draft pick, 10th pick overall. People even thought that he might go play baseball opposed to play football. He chose football, and he's been nothing but extraordinary. So, and then no knock on Purdy, Santana. So take this as you will. Mahomes has less weapons than Purdy does currently. I'm not saying that's the whole career trajectory. Obviously, like he's had Tyreek Hill, Kelsey's been amazing.
Oh, still even with his best roster, I don't think that his offense. I mean, Kelsey and Kittle, or you can give it to Kelsey or push whatever, however you want to give it there. Tyreek Hill versus either of our top guys. I think that I would go Tyreek. Bless our guys. But then second, like number 2 guy, like I don't, it starts to drop off there. None of his running backs have been Christian McCaffrey. I tell you that. So no, I don't think that's out of bounds at all. Like that's true. But that's also, it's going back to the Baltimore game and talking about just what Mahomes controls. that first 2 drives where him and Kelsey were just on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of stuff that makes it go, well, yeah, but he's got Kelsey. Yeah. Because I mean, they looked the best that they had looked together all season. It was like classic them.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Also,
when it. Go ahead.
I think that they have now played this stat. I don't know who I got this stat from, so it may be wrong, but they have played 17 playoff games together, right? Or postseason games. And Kelsey's stats would be like ridiculous for a tight end for a like regular season. And I just thought that I don't remember what the actual numbers are, so I'm not going to try and repeat them, but it was something astronomical to where for a tight end. And that just again goes back to pedigree and that they know how to act here. Types, act like you've been there before. They have and will continue regardless of what happens Sunday. Like it wouldn't shock me if this matchup happened again next year. Like I know it's so hard to get back every year, especially for the teams that lose, but it wouldn't shock. Like that's just how good specifically Mahomes and Reed are and Kelsey. But like just the Chiefs are they're going to have an opportunity to be there. And as long as the core of this roster stays together for San Francisco, which it should for the most part, they will have an opportunity as long as health is okay for both teams, So that's kind of the thing too, is like this may not be the last time we see this situation.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, this could be a clash that we see multiple times, especially like just what Purdy has done throughout his very short career already. Mahomes is obviously a proven commodity. And Reed, proven commodity. Shanahan, I would say kind of proven commodity. I mean, this will be his second Super Bowl to go to and his fourth NFC championship. Which, ask Andy Reid. That's hard to get there too. And then the foundation for the Niners starts kind of at the ground floor, builds up to a guy like Brock Purdy, whereas the foundation for the Chiefs, and not to belittle like any of their trenches or a guy like Chris Jones or anything like that, but it's kind of almost backwards. Like it starts at the star level and works its way down. So they're built differently, but the success rate for both teams underneath these quarterbacks is once again the stats are insanely close just for this specific year. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see this battle again. I hope not. I hope that we see a lot more yellow and blue next year. But
eliminate the quarterbacks. Who would be your next pick for MVP?
If I'm going first on this one, we're eliminating quarterbacks going to be from either team.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to go Christian McCaffrey. I think that he was, if it wasn't just a quarterback award, which I think Lamar Jackson is basically a shoe-in to win MVP this year, just overall for regular season type stuff, I would go Christian McCaffrey because I think what he did this year was most valuable player type stuff. So I'd go Christian McCaffrey as my second best, or not second best, might be the best player on the field when they take the field Sunday night. If it wasn't a quarterback award, I think he probably should have win it, honestly. But so if it's not one of the two quarterbacks, Christian McCaffrey for me.
I got to go to the other side. Pacheco. I mean, that dude, he runs with some steam, and it is so fun to watch. And like we've talked already, this is shaping up to be a rushing game. And I don't know. I think I would go with him. I think he's going to be ready. I think he's going to be bowling over people. And I think it's going to be fun.
Well,
But
again, that's where it's going to come down to is who can run the ball better, faster. Because say San Francisco gets the ball first, which we generally want to kick, but say we get it first. We drive after we go 60 yards, but have to kick a field goal or have to punt wherever we have, what I'm talking about. They get it and they drive right down. Well, now the game is flipped completely. 7-0 with them getting the ball back at half, and now that your best option for the game is to run the ball. Mm-hmm. So you can't allow any give, really, is what excites me about the possibility of. I mean, that's how the game has to go. And I'm not Andy Reid or Kyle Shanahan, though I like to think so sometimes. But it would shock me if those two guys didn't lean into what can work, and then it becomes about who gets the stop first. Who gets the stop first? Who gets the second stop first? Because once the quarterback has to start dropping back, then it plays into the strength of either defense.
Yeah.
And again, scary, guys. It's a scary thing. Okay.
Okay.
I need you. Both of you seem pretty calm, and I just need a little more, backing.
Right, sticking. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. A wild card MVP. So we've both, Santana. Did you give one?
Oh, it's Debo for me.
Debo. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, obviously it could be him.
Let me tell you why. First off, who I want it to be is Kittle. Kenyatta, you could pull up the numbers quicker than I could, but I think that tight end winning MVP is probably the best bet you could do. I don't know who I saw that from.
It's the highest odds against for this particular Super Bowl, I believe, but I don't know what it is.
Just think about how the game goes. You run it, and then you pop pass to either tight end off of play action, and both of them end up with 4 touchdowns. And whoever wins the game, that tight end gets the. You're right. But the reason, all right, so Debo is such a. They've never gotten it right. But in this particular game, right? So Kittle and Kelsey are both of them are liable to go off for 3 touchdowns and 100 yards, right? That's plenty numbers for a winning team's tight end to get the MVP. Debo is a very game plan, scheme, design player. So if there is something that San Francisco sees in what they could do with Debo, he would get fed a lot. I think that was the plan with Green Bay. Kittle had on the McAfee show said that he thought that Debo would have had 3 touchdowns that game just by the way that the game plan had gone and how practice had gone. And then when Debo got hurt, it drastically affected the game plan. Mm-hmm. So if there's something that they see that he could do against Kansas City specifically, he would get just take it and do, which I think you should just do with freaking Debo Samuel anyway. We have 2 guys that can set a freaking tone, and Debo is the leader in that. And so I could see if out of any of the players that could just out of nowhere have 170 yards, 3 touchdowns, 50 rushing yards with that 170 yards, that could be the guy. That's my wild card non-quarterback MVP.
All right. Now sticking to this kind of subject, we're not talking whoever wins MVP, but who do y'all think is going to be an unsung hero for either team?
Quick answer for me, it's on both sides of the ball, receivers for both teams. Brandon Ayuk for the Niners, and Rashee Rice for the Chiefs. I think if those 2 guys have big games, or one and or the other, obviously it bodes really well for their team. I think that classical type receiver, because obviously Debo's an amazing receiver, but he's he runs routes well. He catches the ball well. He's a tone setter for sure. Ayuk is so crisp in and out of breaks and this, that, and the other. Rashee Rice, obviously, I think is a rookie and has started to come into his own, started to catch the ball. That's a big thing for the Chiefs, for all of their receivers. So I would say if the Niners win, Ayuk's probably had a pretty good game, and if the Chiefs win, Rice has probably had a pretty good game. So that's my answer.
I don't think only probably on that. Like, I think both of those guys for either team to win have to be present. Ayuk has become the 49ers' number one guy. He is arguably the best route runner in the league. He's Brock Purdy's favorite guy. I think that he has a role as the number one guy. I think that Debo has a role as the guy that we're going to put this guy in space to do it. Then McCaffrey has the role of putting the team on his back, though. And then Kittle is Kittle and Juszczyk, Swiss Army knives. You do whatever you want to with them. I think that for either team to win, those two guys, Rashee Rice is the other guy. Like that, he has become the other guy. Like they've got some guys who have made some plays, especially after what a terrible season. Terrible. I can't speak on the stats right now, but how bad the rhetoric around the season was for the Chiefs receivers. They've had some major plays come up in the playoffs, but Rashee Rice has been their most solid receiver. He has been the most consistent. And if he's not showing up, then I don't know who the next guy to take the consistency part of, I can't only throw it to Travis.
Well, of course it's Kadarius Toney. He's the number one receiver in the league.
He's the number one receiver. He can be if he just gets the ball. Look, again, no hate on Kadarius Toney. I liked him at Florida when the Giants took him. I was like, I think that's a good pick. And he just didn't work out there.
And athletic.
Yeah, he's got everything that needs to be there is there. I just,
just the hands.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm no expert, but I do think that that's an important part. If I was to break down a receiver for if we do a draft episode, I'll be like, hands are important.
How about you, Normie?
If I had to pick one, I would say it's going to be Juszczyk. I think and it's going to be mainly because of his blocking, but also he's going to get us a couple of first downs in crucial times, to keep drives alive. He probably, he doesn't really get that many stats, but I think he's going to be one of those, if he wasn't on the field, they wouldn't win. Yeah, even though he only caught the ball 3 times, but the 3 times he caught it were in 3 just crucial moments. And then also just, his blocking ability, which I think is, we've talked, it's gonna be used and needed a lot, but I think it's gonna be those crucial third downs, keeping the drive alive, that I think he will be more of the unsung hero.
He is the guy that I'm terrified of losing. He's up there in age, so he's not going to play forever.
Yeah.
But going back to him and his Swiss ability to be a Swiss Army knife, he lines up at tight end, he lines up at tailback, he lines up at fullback, he motions everywhere. We can split him out wide. He runs routes. He catches well. He's one of the best blockers on the team. He's one of the most athletic players on the team. One of the plays that got Brock going early in the game against Detroit was a big throw down the middle of the field to Juszczyk. And then again, the scramble out and sideline toe tap. Fullbacks don't make toe tap out of bounds plays. So, and then a lot of Kyle's offense, he is the highest paid fullback of all time, I believe. It was something that Kyle and John immediately went out and got. He was the first guy that they signed the first year that they were at San Francisco. For a lot of it, the offense ran through Juszczyk. He had a lot more receptions, a lot more rush attempts, a lot more routes run. But then as the roster was built the way that they wanted it, he's become more strictly a blocker. But he and Kittle, there aren't offensive linemen who block like these guys. They are that. I brought up earlier about Aiden Hutchinson, the pancake on the Aiden Hutchinson during the NFC Championship by Kittle. That guy's 6'7", 240, 250. What is it?
70.
270. big guy, big boy. One of the best defense. Yeah, young dude, one of the best defensive ends in the league already. And Kittle at tight end is just that tight. Like, and it wasn't even like overpowering. It was just technique. He's just a fantastic blocker, an angry blocker. He and Juszczyk together are. You can just do whatever you want. Like, no matter what you want to do on the field, all the positionless football. It's Kyle's thing. Positionless football. All these guys can play all of these positions. You have a running back who could have easily been drafted as a receiver. You have a receiver who could have easily been drafted as a running back. You've got one of the best route runners in football in Ayuk, who also has been known to take one out of the backfield and bust it. You've got Juszczyk, who can pass block and run block and can catch 1 for 1 and go for 70, or catch 1 for 70 going deep down the sideline. You've got just a lot of toys over there for Shanahan. So it wouldn't surprise me if Kyle got it. I would love that. I would absolutely love it. Juszczyk, that is. Like, I would love for him to, big 3rd and 1. We need it. We absolutely have to have it. Juszczyk up the gut, gets it. 4th and 2, we're going for it because we're down. Juszczyk gets it. Type stuff. I could absolutely see that, and I would get a Juszczyk tattoo
with the ladybug.
I'm getting that ladybug, man. If we win, I'm getting a ladybug. Y'all can come with me if you want to.
Hey, we can stream it.
Yeah, we'll put that on the live feed. Where are you gonna get it?
That's for the fan to decide.
Hey, anybody, all of our many viewers that we've got right this second, start sending them in. If you don't get them in on our live feed, our Twitter
down below,
/X account, leave a comment, like whatever, like
not the face. I can't do the face.
Okay,
so
face is off
face.
limits.
Yeah.
Face and neck. I'm gonna, as a friend, I'm gonna take the neck off limits for you too.
Yeah, let's keep it professional. Something I can cover up. I don't know. I do it on the foot. I wear flip flops a lot. I do a foot ladybug, and the people will be like, "Hey, man, you got a ladybug
to get a tattoo." Like, as far as just like pain, there's nothing but bones.
Yep.
Not mine.
Meaty feet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Viewers, Santana is notorious for having very meaty feet.
Yeah, they're meaty. Some would even say like jelly a little bit.
Oh, well, we got the first vote.
I think LBO got us. That's the one right there.
I might do it. I might do it if we were in a position to do one of those. If we hit so many followers type situation, I might do it for that. But I would have to say, like, if we hit like 24, and I think that I'd be pretty safe.
Mrs. Santana would love that.
Needs to be winking and giving a peace sign.
I'll leave the design.
Hey,
up to you
I will be designing this. Okay.
Yeah, I'll leave the design up to you. But
he's gonna
tramp stamp would be hilarious.
It's gonna be a ladybug wearing a Brock Purdy jersey.
Well, so you can get the Juszczyk jersey on there. That way, you get
I'll get
kill two birds with one stone.
Make me a ladybug jacket.
There you go.
Like when clearly the show takes off and we become millionaires, I'll call her and be like, "Hey, man, way back when, make me a ladybug."
She'll be calling us.
Hell yeah,
Santana! I heard that you wanted one of my jackets, so here it is. It is a ladybug.
Fuck it, I'm just gonna tag her in this one. I'll post her later.
There you go.
She'll clearly fall in love with all of our charm and send us all jackets of San Francisco Ladybugs. No. Everybody's getting a San Francisco Ladybugs, not like your own personal jacket.
No. Not wearing San Francisco Ladybug jacket. Buddy, quite literally divisional rival.
Buddy, come on.
I mean, if Mrs. Juszczyk, I don't know if she even has his last name. I have no clue. But if she sent it,
Kristen, I believe.
Kristen, yeah, and maybe Juszczyk, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
If she sends me a ladybug jacket, I would wear it sometimes. I would wear it sometimes, not during the football season. Never during the football season.
But that's when it's cold.
Yeah, he's got you there.
He does have me there. Okay, if we're eliminated from playoff contention, perhaps.
All right, that's the deal. I'll call her.
Get her on the call Taylor and have Taylor get her in touch with you.
If,
Yeah, that's
Dude, I need to look under my seat.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's moving and shaking these days. That speaking of Taylor, you want to get things in motion. Get old Tay Tay on it, or her hype or her crew, one of them.
we need to get some people so we can get our people to get to her people.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't even know if she's been a guest on New Heights podcast. Her boyfriend and Travis Kelce and his brother Jason Kelce, two probable Hall of Famers. One for sure. I don't know enough about Jason Kelce's career other than, for the most part, while he was playing, he was amazing. So, fingers crossed. He also seems awesome, and his wife seems awesome. But I don't know if she's been a guest on that. But if we could get her to be a guest here in Brothers-In-Flaws, I think I think it'd really make us take off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would help a little bit.
I'll tag her. I'll tag her on.
Yeah. Alrighty. Y'all got any more commentary about this matchup? Any last thoughts?
I think I basically said my piece, but Normie, you and I have a score to settle depending on who we pick. I'll let you go first.
I was going to say I have to go first.
Going to bow out. You're 9-3 to my 8-4, and if we go opposite sides, we'll do a tiebreaker with closest final score.
All right.
Or point total. Your call.
I do closest final score.
Okay.
So, with everything I've seen throughout these playoffs, I think Kansas City comes out. They jump ahead 10-0, 14-0. I think they go cold in the second half. I think by the second half, San Francisco really does get their crap together, especially on defense. And I'm looking at a 21-17 San Francisco win.
I like it.
I think it's going to be a hard fought game. It's not going to be one of those. I think it's not going to be a shootout. I don't think that. I don't think it's going to be a Rams Patriots either. I think it's going to be kind of that
miserable to watch. Like even like as a non-Rams fan, 13-3.
No, I liked it, man. I thought that was like one of the coolest defensive battles ever. I enjoyed that game. I think that I may have been the only one in America, but I think I really did enjoy that game.
Chewbacca also says, like, man, how often you get to see that?
I mean, it was cool. I mean, it was literally, it was one of the things that makes Bill Belichick what Bill Belichick is. He comes into that game and goes, I'm going to take away what makes you guys great, which, I mean, that year was basically everything y'all did. That was an
specifically
amazing
Todd Gurley that game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Todd Gurley was the engine the entire season. But then you shut down Brady for the entire game too. Like it was, like that was really neat to sit there and just watch. Like, oh wow, this is two teams known for one thing, and look at, I don't know. I find it cool. Me and Chewbacca and maybe like
it was definitely one of those like whoever stumbles first. Which I agree with you, Normie, on your take. I kind of and Santana, you said it as well. Like whoever stumbles first, like
it's going to come down to that first or second stop. I think both teams can afford maybe one stop, and then like you can afford to punt one time, and at least in the first half. I just think that if Kansas City jumps out, Normie, if they get to a 10-14, that's scary. That's really scary for me. I could see where San Francisco does the same thing, but it's different than, again, it's not Jared Goff on the other side, and it's not Jordan Love on the other side. It's that dude. It's that guy.
I've just
and
seen
it's those guys.
it just seems like throughout the playoffs, Kansas City has gone a little cold in the second half. Now, it being Super Bowl, I could be wrong, but I'm going by what I've personally seen. You know, especially both teams just so different in the second half. I do think, and maybe it'll be like a 7-point, 7-0 or type of thing, but going into half, or even 14-7, something like that. But I do think it is that the Chiefs will lead going into halftime. San Francisco takes care of business second half, and it's a 21-17 game.
I like it. I'm here for it.
Okay, I'm gonna do this first off. Just
what are you gonna do, Trader? What are you gonna do?
I'll either tie or I'll lose by 2. It's not anything that I'm actually pulling for. I will go the Chiefs. Whether it's a ground and pound game and in like a 13-3 affair, which I would be shocked. These teams' offenses are too good to be that level of low productivity, or if it's a 44-41. If that happens, obviously everything that I said early on in the show is wrong, and it is a shootout, and the defenses have kind of been neutralized. I don't know, or somewhere in between. I will go the Chiefs, and there's a running joke about a running joke. I think it's mostly the playoffs over the last couple of weeks of
jogging joke.
A jogging joke where Kyle Shanahan only has to put together one half of football to win games, and maybe the second half is his half, but it's not like you were just saying, Santana. It's not Jordan Love, and no disrespect to him or Jared Goff.
Yeah, no disrespect, but it is. I mean, it's if Patrick Mahomes drops back on 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 where Reynolds drops the pass, like the ball doesn't hit Reynolds low in a way, it hits him in the gut. Like, there's a difference. There's throws that don't get made because you're not Patrick Mahomes. Like that's a legit thing.
So I will
jump shots that you don't take because you're not Michael Jordan. Like it's that level.
A last and once again, Santana, I love you, buddy. I'm not pulling for this, but first off, I want to tie and then beat Normie.
Coming across pretty dickish right now, but go ahead.
I'm gonna go 24-21, tied up at 21 apiece, and the Chiefs drive it down to kick a last-second field goal.
First off, I could definitely see that happen. I'm going to give you my score, and I don't have a pick for it. And it's going to be a range. Okay. It's going to be 34-31, and that's the winner, to 27-21, which I know is a wide range, but I could just see, again, it's going to become who gets stopped the least, and that's obviously that's just like. He would have ran farther if he hadn't gotten tackled. But what I mean is, like, if you can stay in the game, you have to stay in the game the whole game. Like, this isn't going to be one where you can, like, drop a couple and come back. You need to be in the race. Like, you can't trip. There's no tripping here. This is and for both teams, because if Kansas City comes out and is able to just turn around and hand it off, like Detroit was able to do and Green Bay was able to do, San Francisco has to answer that, and they have to be able to turn around and hand it off. Like, you have to match each other. So it comes down to who, again, the stumbles. Like, I think each team gets maybe one, and if you get a second, like, oof.
Yeah, well, based on all of our scores, final predictions, obviously Santana, you gave us a range, but very close range on both ends. And I really hope that this is how the game plays out. I know that you don't, Santana, and I totally understand that. If I was in your position, I wouldn't either.
I don't think I'm
it
going to
kind
watch
of
it.
seems like who has the ball in their hands at the end, because both dudes on the other, like whoever's helming the offense on either team, have proven to be ice cold in these type of moments. Obviously, Brock has done it for way less time and has had way less opportunities, and Patrick's had multiple. But when Brock's had the opportunities, even in some of the losses that were a little bit head scratching this year, I mean, when it is, have to have it type situations, that dude is right there. So I as just a overall football fan, am pulling for a situation like that this year, and I know it'll be miserable to watch that with you, but
Yeah, I'm just not gonna. Y'all text it. Live text it.
We'll live text it. Yeah. We'll live tweet it.
Just a few quick updates on awards happening tonight. Myles Garrett wins Defensive Player of the Year, and CJ Stroud wins Rookie of the Year for the offense.
All right.
So that's
Who would you have wanted for Offensive Rookie of the Year, Kenyatta?
it's got to be Puka. It's got to be Puka Nakua. No. I mean, CJ played outside of his mind.
Yeah.
He's incredible. I wouldn't have been upset, obviously, if Puka had won it, but after the way that the season ended and the way that CJ, I mean, that was supposed to be a team in the dead set basement stage of a rebuild, and not only does he take them to the playoffs, gets a playoff win, and they just seem him, D'Amico, Will Anderson, the receivers, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Noah Brown. I mean, there's so much promising stuff going on there. I have no problem with CJ getting it. He played amazing. But if we're talking about a position that broke all rookie records, I don't know how many rookie records CJ Stroud broke, but I know Puka Nakua put his name on some Hall of Fame type lists on what he broke.
I guess you have to start asking who had the bigger impact. And
it's CJ.
Well, I mean, I don't. Okay, yeah, clearly.
It's the most important position on the field.
The Rams weren't set up to have a great season either, though.
Right.
No, we were supposed to also be in the basement of a rebuild. 100%.
And a lot of what Puka did was in place of an injured Cooper Kupp. So not only did he play his role, he played the role for a lot of the season. And I mean, now, all right. So I would say, obviously, you said the CJ Williams and D'Amico, right? For Houston, those three would be your Puka, Kyron, and just Puka and Kyron, because those would be like your new impact players for that particular or this particular season. So, I mean, CJ was accompanied by Will Anderson. I don't know what I just said, but Will Anderson, elite pass rusher. Again, I called it a Madden trade last time we talked about it. That's the type of stuff you go get your quarterback, you go get your pass rusher in the first season, then you're set up. And a new coach. So Puka was just accompanied by Kyron. So I mean, I think there's a little more shouldering on Puka's end, or it could be argued. Could be argued. And it is CJ, but this is fun to argue.
If all the awards weren't just so heavily geared towards quarterbacks, I think Puka would have gotten a little bit more looks towards that award. But that is not taking anything away from what CJ did. I think it was 1A and 1B between those two personally, just from what I consumed. Obviously, I consumed all of the Rams this year, but what I did see of the Texans, and then specifically, I consumed all of their playoff run. He was amazing, and I'm really happy. I love D'Amico Ryans, even as an Auburn fan. He's maybe my favorite Alabama player of all time. Seems like a really down to earth guy. Obviously, he's got a really good head for football and everything. So I have no problem with CJ winning that. And it is the more important of the two positions on the field. But as a Rams fan, I watched Puka drag us kicking and screaming to victories where if he had not been on the field, not only do we lose, we might have got a brain stomped in. So
Yeah, called him, my guy.
I'll give you that. None of us called Kyron though, and I know he's a second year guy, but
No, dude, I watched Kyron at Notre Dame and thought he's good at football. And then when he was coming up in the draft, I thought he's good at football. And then when y'all drafted him, I thought you got a guy that's good at football. I did not know that he was like that dude is it, dude. Like
he's a dog.
Yeah, he's it, and
I'm
it
excited.
sucks because y'all got all sorts of young guys out there.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about it moving forward. Obviously, we can talk about all this, with drafts and stuff upcoming, and we got this weekend, and then 7 months until we kick back off for the 2024 seasons for both professional leagues. I think we can just call them both professional leagues now. It's like the NFL professional league and then the NCAA professional league.
And not for much longer.
But
it's not going to be the NCAA professional league much longer.
Whatever the Big Ten and SEC decide. Once again, we got a lot to talk about, folks. We got a lot to talk about. This show is dedicated for the Super Bowl because it is happening Sunday. We are 4 days away.
Well, we were talking about that crazy trade, the Madden trade. Just in defensive rookie of the year, Will Anderson.
Makes sense. I mean, he was amazing.
Well, and that's the thing. When you make a trade like that, when you take your quarterback and then trade him, I mean, you have to give up a lot to get right back behind the pick you just made. You have to hit. And I mean, I loved CJ Stroud in college. I thought that was a pretty sure pick, but I mean, you never really know. Like you could feel as good as you want to, but you never really know. But Will Anderson was somebody that just at Alabama, especially his sophomore year, where he just, he was something else. That was one of those like Clowney-esque picks. Like, that he's going to at least contribute strongly. Mm-hmm. Which also Clowney went to Houston, but you have to hit on those picks, and they did. And now D'Amico is set up not so much in luxury, but he does have. I mean, he hit on Tank Dell. Nico Collins was already there. Pierce was already there. Like they already had like a pretty decent core on offense. The defense isn't terrible. So you're not necessarily in luxury, but you do have freedom. You don't have to hit on cornerstone pieces right now because you have hit on two guys that are going to be on rookie contracts for the next 4 years. And they're not in the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, Kenyatta. You keep trying to bring it back to the Super Bowl.
No. It's good stuff to get it out and out of the way. I mean, I've said my piece about the Super Bowl. We've made our picks. I mean, me and Normie have made our picks, and we've all put our score range out there. We've all kind of talked about how we think the game's going to go. If you guys want to keep doing Super Bowl stuff, I'm fine. I mean, I am giddy for this Super Bowl. Last year with the Eagles and the Chiefs, I didn't have. I kind of thought that the Chiefs might win. If I was pulling for one team or another, I probably would have been pulling for the Chiefs. But then I watched Kelsey, the documentary on. Is that on Prime?
I think it's on Prime.
And then it made me sad. I was like, oh man, I should have been pulling for the Eagles. Obviously, both teams have pissed in your cereal. So I understand why you had probably no love or maybe only hatred towards both. But this year,
in a situation like that, I was definitely
I want to see you be happy on this. And it's been a long time since '95.
Yeah, and like that was back before I even knew football existed, really. Like, and we've been so close. I talked about, I think recently, I think I talked about it on here about the Harbaugh years, where I watched the tail end of San Francisco go into playoffs on a regular basis. I watched the Jeff Garcia, Terrell Owens Giants comeback game that in 2001, the wild card, and after that, like, there was just this long ass stretch of just pain and heartache, and it's one of the things that Kenyatta and I talk about all the time, about how I'm sure that there are a lot of Rams and 49ers fans who do not like each other, but part of our football thing is watching our teams be garbage together for so long. So now it's easy to root for the other team, even though they're pretty bitter rivals, because we've watched this just garbage product for so long. And so Harbaugh shows up and boom, flash in the pan, is like NFC Championship, Super Bowl, NFC Championship, 8-8, out. It's like, oh, okay, what? And then, so to go through then another dip, and it's like, well, okay, at least I know, very similarly to the way that Tuberville in 2004 for Auburn and Chiswick in 2010 for Auburn made me realize, like, oh, we should be competing more, like, it gives me more to want for. That's another topic for another time with that particular team. But Harbaugh coming into San Francisco is like, yeah. This is what San Francisco is supposed to be. We should be expecting to be playing for Super Bowls year in and year out. That's the level of franchise that San Francisco is. It's one of the greatest sports franchises in all time. So, but then we do go on this like low. So I'm just like sitting here waiting for the next, like, a boot is going to drop. We are going to get good again. It has to. And then for Kyle to come in, and it took a while. Like, I think it was 2022, like week 3 or something like that of 2022, that his career record as a head coach finally shifted to being over 500.
You guys were also cursed with injuries.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, we could get into, well, and that goes into this Super Bowl too. Is like, it's not only cursed with injuries for the Shanahan and Lynch era, but Harbaugh had some weird shit happen where Kyle Williams drops the punt or muffs the punt in the NFC Championship his first year, muffs 2 in the game, but one that really sealed it at the end. Then you go and play Baltimore in the Super Bowl. Baltimore is crushing you. The lights go out. You start coming back. You throw a 50-50 ball in the end zone. Gets held. We don't have to get into that, but Crabtree gets held in the end zone. Probably should have flagged it. I understand why you wouldn't, but we don't have to get into that. Anyway, so then the next year, you're playing NFC Championship, and you throw a 50-50 ball to Crabtree against Richard freaking Sherman. Like, just a lot of so freaking dang close, And so here we are. You go to the 2019. We had a 10-point lead. And 3rd and 15. I see that like every now and then. It'll be off season. It won't even be football season. I'll go into my room and it's time for bed, and turn the lights. And I'll snuggle up, and I'm like, oh, I'm so comfortable. And then as soon as I close my eyes, 3rd and 15, Tyreek Hill wide open. It just flashes, and I sweat. I have to get up and hit the hard alcohol. And I hate the hard alcohol, but you have to in a moment like that. It's a weakness. But then, all right, so we have a chance still. They come back. Jimmy overthrows Emmanuel Sanders on a play that we had run a million times that season. Emmanuel Sanders on the post, down the center of the field. Jimmy hit him every time. It was go-to. We used it all the time. Speaking of, I brought up the Saints game earlier. We hit him on that. He falls down because Jimmy underthrows it, but he falls down, gets up, runs in, touchdown. It's worked a million times. He misses it. The dropped interception. We talked about it last week, but the dropped interception against the Rams and the NFC Championship, that game was just nobody was scoring. Like, that was, again, whoever falters first, whoever trips the first time. And that was the opportunity for you guys to have tripped. And instead, Tart drops the interception. Just weird shit. It's time. We have to have one. It's just time, okay? All right.
Look, For
Okay.
your mental health, I'm pulling for you, buddy. I'm pulling for you. But once again, just a completely objective fan of the game, I'm so excited that it's these two teams. I would be way less juiced if it was you guys versus the Ravens or you guys versus the Bills, or if the Eagles had somehow recaptured their season, which, man, what? Speaking of a team that the Niners just broke in half, like
Yeah.
completely derailed their season. And Cowboys fans, please watch us. We won't always shit talk you, but please stop saying that it's your year until you win a fucking playoff game. I mean, come on. It's not your year until you actually make something happen when it's meaningful. So, and I love you all. And once again, I hope you watch, but no, I don't think there could be a better matchup for this year. I mean, you've got the perennial powerhouse who started out of the gate incredibly slow, had a lot of really weird ups and downs throughout the year. You had the team that Super Bowl favorites to come into the year started out really, really hot and had a stumble, a 3-game skid, and then their only other loss was Week 18 against the Rams, but barely playing starters. So
in the Baltimore game.
Oh yeah, you guys were. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, and that one was rough.
I mean, I kind of appreciate you skipping it. I don't know why I brought it up.
Yeah.
like I knew that it happened. I didn't have to revisit.
Yeah, I was looking at Purdy's record on the year and not team record for the 5th loss there. But anyways, yeah, I mean, not to keep robbing Batman, but I will, Christopher Nolan, sue me if you want. Unstoppable force meets a movable object. I'm so jazzed for it, but I know that you are like, your blood pressure is through the roof from here until the whistle blows 10:30 Sunday.
I was really looking forward to doing this tonight because it at least gives me the outlet to just talk about it a lot. Yes, I'm nervous and anxious and all the other synonyms for those words. And but again, like I love this game so much, and Super Bowl Sunday specifically, I love so much. So like there is that part of me that's like, man, I wish that I could watch this differently. Like I wish that I could watch this and not care who won, because this is a matchup that I agree everything that you've said, Kenyatta. Like this is a matchup that I would want to really enjoy, and I think I will enjoy it. Like I think that it's going to be a good game, and I think that at the end, here's my pick. I think that at the end, everyone would have had fun. Okay, like it will. People will have had fun, and yeah, write it down. The score will be within 10. Yeah, not mark that. And I promise we'll go as a family. We'll all go. We'll bust down there to wherever I get it. I'll get it. I'll order a gun. And Normie, you can do it. Okay. You look like you probably got like some like latex gloves.
I do have gloves.
Yeah, I figured you'd be the glove guy.
Out of the three of us, I'm probably the least artistically talented.
All right, here's the thing. You wear the gloves, hold the gun. Kenyatta, you hold his hand, draw the ladybug.
Seems like a really inefficient way to go about this, but I'm game.
It's for the show, guys. It's for the show. Do y'all want to do this?
Okay. Honestly, I'm not the one taking this risk. I'm not the one getting the ink on me, so I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Yes, that's me.
I love how the person carrying the most risk is the one that's like, why the hell aren't y'all wanting on board for this?
And I'm talking dinner plate size. Like I'm thinking bat
dinner plate size.
Yeah. And just
yes, a tattoo gun. That's what we need to order.
Yeah.
Elbiana says she can do it.
I would actually trust that.
Yeah. She's seen a couple videos. She got it.
Yeah, I trust it. I'm in.
Only one way to
That's
find
more than
out.
I've seen. Well, all right. I do want to end on some fun things. So, Cunyato, what is the Super Bowl party must have for you? What is it?
Well,
Excluding like beer and things like that. I'm talking about food. Your must have food. What is your must have food for your Super Bowl party?
this seems like a difficult question, and I guess in a way that it is. A few years ago, it would have been wings. Like I want some sort of wings. So, just some kind of like chicken to eat, right off the bone. But, and credit to Santana's wife, it has now become, and Santana, don't put pressure on your wife to have her make this. And hell, she can give me the recipe. I'll make it here.
I've already texted her.
Buffalo chicken dip.
All right.
She does do it. I didn't know where you were going with that, but she does do buffalo chicken dip.
And I think that it's at least 3 to 5 years running, and it is delicious.
What did we eat in 2019? Do you remember?
No.
Let's not eat that. Whatever was
it
there.
was not.
We're gonna all right. It's gonna be lights off, no food, volume on low, nobody talking. That's how we're watching this year. Okay?
Yeah, Santana's gonna watch this by himself, curled up on the couch.
I may watch it on my phone in the truck.
Yelling at like nothing, and like when his wife or daughter tried to come down the halls, get back in there.
Don't come in here. Don't you look at me.
They just scored. You stay exactly where you're at.
Oh man.
There's a video floating around on the interwebs of a guy, like the wife or girlfriend or whatever, takes the phone outside and like, what are you doing? Are you gonna come back in? And he's like, no. Why? They score more points when I'm out here, and it's a 49ers fan during the Detroit game. I'm like, yes, brother. Yes, we are family. Like, yes, absolutely. If I have to not look at the game, I haven't watched an Auburn basketball game all year. Just
yeah.
I can't. If I do, not good things. Not good things.
I feel that way with Alabama basketball. Every time I watch them, they lose.
Yeah, anybody who doesn't believe in that stuff, well, this isn't the show for you, bud, because it matters.
Some of us I swear, all three of us are possibly full-on superstitious.
Oh, yeah. No, I make the little stitious joke all the time, but no, I'm 100%. 1,000%.
What are you swearing, Normie?
Well, every time I go, like, say I have to get up and go do something real quick or something like that during the middle of an Alabama game, they either end up scoring or they end up doing something really stupid and getting scored on or something like that, or throwing a bad pick, something. So it's always something, but on either spectrum. So it's like I feel like I can't really, okay, I'm gonna go get up and do something and then come back, and then it's, well, if I do that, then quarterback could throw a pick six, or we do a deep bomb and get a touchdown. So
where were you for 4th and 31? I'm gonna need you to never be there ever again. I was
in my cousin's garage in Hazel Green, Alabama.
Well, You're not allowed to go to Hazel Green ever again.
I feel like
slash your tires. I know where your tires are.
Thing is, we've been going there every year for Thanksgiving, so usually I'm probably going to be there next year. I've been there the past 2 years, and we've won the past 2 years.
Next year.
Okay, you can't. I don't think that you can use that on the Iron Bowl. Like, I don't think that where you are impacts what happens in the Iron Bowl. Bama's generally significantly better. I think that's the superstition there. You can be
Well,
wherever
next
you
year it
want.
happens in Bryant Denny. It's going to be a bloodbath, probably. Although this is also the first time in 15 years that it won't be that
something
monster on the other sideline.
Yeah, again, something talking about for what we're going to talk about leading up to next season. Just
We'll
again,
get a lot.
sad,
We get a lot of
sad,
substance,
man.
guys.
Sad,
We'll
man.
get a lot. Like this is Super Bowl. Okay, so getting back to topic, Santana, how about you? What is your must-have food?
Oh, it
Whatever.
is wings. Yeah, I think the wings are. It's my go-to football food for any like weekend, let alone the most important one of the year. Yeah, it's got to be wings.
Any certain flavor?
I like
Yep.
hot and just like your standard buffalo. Like it doesn't have
You
to
like
be
the chicken
anything
kind.
fancy. The what?
And
The chicken kind.
Yeah,
the chicken kind. Yeah, them pork wings are weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
And Normie, how about yourself?
Mine is going to be a little weird, but mine is more because of nostalgia than it is that I just really love it. But the shrimp cocktail things that come in the little circle. I call it circle shrimp.
yeah, hell yeah.
They used to come frozen. You got to thaw them out.
Yeah.
Growing up, pretty much every Super Bowl, we had one of those. And as a kid, and we didn't eat shrimp often, so it was like, oh, cool, shrimp. Yeah. But just even to this day, every Super Bowl, I try to at least get the circle shrimp. So to me, it's kind of a must-have for me.
That is unique.
An off-camera circle shrimp story for you when we get done here.
Okay, yeah, definitely wait until we're off air for that. I don't even want to know. Definitely, the world doesn't want to. It just sounds awful. Okay.
Good time.
All right.
Favorite, one more favorite Super Bowl memory of all time.
Damn, I got a lot.
I'm sorry, I should have prepped everybody. Like, just but you talking about the Normie, the can't miss foods.
Mm-hmm.
It made me like start cycling in my head, like my most favorite Super Bowl watching experience of all time. Mine personally, other than the Rams win, of course, awesome. And then my most miserable time was 2 Rams losses, very specifically when I was a little bit older, a little bit more mature, a little bit more in tune with the game. Jared Goff and Todd Gurley, just the number one offense historically in multiple categories, still to this day, getting completely shut down by a GOAT in Bill Belichick in that defense. But Santana, I can't remember how old we were, and I believe it was also the Patriots playing the Panthers, Jake Delhomme's Panthers.
Yeah.
That was Brady's second one, wasn't it?
Yeah, because the first one was against the Rams, which is one of my memories.
And well, we were dumb idiot kids and ran down a circle, little loop-de-loop neighborhood, buck ass nude.
Yeah, no, we did do that.
Oh man.
Like, I don't know if that Super Bowl would stand out to me as much as it does without
I think that
but for idiot
that's also
boys.
Is that also the wardrobe malfunction Super Bowl?
It was, yeah, because I was the only one that caught it live action. Because I was like,
Now we watched a few Super Bowls over there, and specifically one that's one major one for me is the Eli Manning, the first Super Bowl against the Patriots, the David Tyree helmet catch. We watched
a good one.
We watched that at the CC's Pizza. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
And
I was gasping, like, what the?
Yeah, we stood up. They used to have that big box TV in the corner over there.
And we just wanted the Patriots to lose so bad at that point. That's before we'd all actually accepted their greatness.
whatever age we were at that time, even then, I remember being like, "How have they not blown the whistle yet on Eli?" And I was wondering, who all was on here. Mine are all pleasant stories, if that helps.
on stream.
Yeah, on stream. Yeah, we'll shut it down for the ones I don't want people hearing. But no, I just remember, like, it's very funny to think about the places that I watch games now, whether it's in the comfort of my own home or sports bars or in the manner that I watch, because I was still like, I wasn't drinking, and that's something that I cut wings and beer and sports bar, and and then like that game, one of the all-time games was with my buddies at Little Caesars, or not Little CC's, which is just I mean, how many? It's just not where you end up. It's not where you end up. Yeah, it's not where you end up watching Super Bowls. And there we were for whatever reason. Which I think we also went to the Cardinals Steelers Super Bowl, where Steelers jumped out, Cardinals came back, because I think we walked back into the house right as Larry Fitzgerald broke the long, like he caught the slant and broke the long touchdown. Because I think we left after James Harrison had the interception that went 99 back the other way. And I think we went to CC's and then came back just as like the Cardinals were like, "Oh yeah, we're back in this." I don't know. That I've got all the Super Bowls are precious. I think about all of them all the time. Stopped on NFL Network the other day because one of the things that I used to do when I was younger was NFL Network, or at the time it came on ESPN, but NFL Films just played and played and played the replays of all, or like their version of all the Super Bowls. And so I would just spend the week leading up just watching it over and over and over again. It's one of my favorite childhood memories, is watching stuff like that. And once you go away from like standard cable and the way that all things are now, it just wasn't something that like is in my face. And I just happened on it the other day, and I was like, "Ah, yeah, this is part of Super Bowl week. Hell yeah!" And the first one, my first like real strong Super Bowl memory was going back to the Patriots beating the Rams.
Me too.
I think we were in 5th grade, right? Somewhere around that age group.
Yeah.
And we were all in my basement, and I remember it like going, like I could, like there was just like a Tom Brady that was like when the Tom Brady march started. Like, oh,
and
shit.
Vinatieri's legacy started. I mean,
yeah,
because he'd already done it against the Raiders, I think, that year in the AFC Championship.
That's how we got there. Yeah.
Yep. And like, man, like his statistics is probably like I think his stats are going to put him as one of the greatest of all time. But he's not Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker is the greatest of all time. But man, if you had to have a kick for like a 10-year span, there is nobody else that you wanted kicking that ball other than Adam Vinatieri. That dude was clutch as it gets.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think that regular season, I don't think that he's like all that dynamic. Like, he's one of the greatest kickers of all time. But I think just if you compare what he does in the playoffs versus what he does in the regular season, I think that he is just one of those guys that functions higher when it matters.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, maybe not 100%. I don't know. Once again,
I don't. Yeah, we'd have to.
but I can attest to the playoffs. I think we all can, for how long we've watched football. That man he had a different gear to him, which is
all of those first
three
Brady.
your team.
Yeah. We don't have to keep going back to that. But
it's one of the shows.
Oh, is that what we're talking about? Okay, all right. I guess we can keep going back to that. But anyway, all of Brady's initial Super Bowls were all by 3 points. Like, they were all like with Vinatieri. Kicks to beat y'all, kicks to beat Carolina, and then had kicked an earlier field goal that made it wasn't like at the buzzer type of thing for Philly, but
doing in like a crazy twist of fate.
So who is it really? Who is it really? Is it Belichick? Is it Brady? Or is it Adam? OAV. I'm a tag him in this.
Here we go.
All right, Normie, you got a Super Bowl standout moment in your head?
Mine would definitely have to be
28-3.
and you'll like this one too, Kenyatta, but the Dyson 1 yard short. To me, when at that time, I mean, we were what? We were probably third, fourth grade then, like even younger.
It was 99, so go ahead and give you guys our age. We would have all been around 9 years old.
Yeah.
Um,
So that whole
it's third
year,
grade-ish, fourth grade-ish.
that whole year, the whole playoffs, and I grew up in North Alabama, so I was a Titans fan. Yeah, my uncle lived in Nashville. He was a Titans season ticket holder. Like we were Titans fans, and then get to the Super Bowl, and it was just one of those like teachable things about football as a kid. I will always remember it, and that it's cliche, but football is a game of inches, and just that seeing that and being there, or not being there, but seeing that and just being like devastated, like, oh, we lost. And then being like, no, we can run another play. And my dad's just like, no, that's it. The game's over. And just the replay of it afterwards and it just being so close. To me, that is one of those Super Bowl memories for me.
Me too. But yeah, coming from your perspective, especially being a Titans fan at that point in time, would you say that you're more a Falcons fan nowadays, or kind of split between, or
I would
just
say
kind of
more.
an objective?
I'd say more Falcons. Professional football for me is, the Stallions here. So
Hey,
the
and
hometown.
also another thing that this after Sunday gives us a lot of room to start delving into, which I'm really psyched about. Once again, all two of you viewers, just because Sunday ends all of the big dog talk from our two professional leagues, like the two big professional leagues, we got so much more stuff. Plus the draft. Might even get into a little hockey here and there. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. And if you guys want to back me down on this, that's fine. But maybe just, I don't care about the NBA at all anymore.
No, I haven't either. The only time I ever watch NBA is if I'm with my dad and there's nothing else on, like, early summer and it's just, there's a basketball game on. That's the only sports on. And I'm like, okay, fine. We'll watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I used to, Santana can attest, we both actually got Santana before me and then me a little bit afterwards. Neither here nor there. Actually, fairly in tuned and NBA fans, but man, I just don't care anymore. Obviously, for college basketball, and I think we've already said it in multiple post or previous shows that yay sports ball. That's what I'm talking about. Albiona. I am kind of psyched about college basketball. I mean, Bama and Auburn are both really good, solid teams. So, anyways,
Can't watch it.
Oh yeah, so Normie and I will talk about how the games went. And
How about
Santana,
I watch Auburn and you watch Alabama?
That's interesting. Yeah, I could probably. Yeah, we can pull that off.
fair
That
trade.
Yeah. That way we can talk about it knowledgeably and not curse.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, alrighty, we're about that 2-hour mark. Y'all got any final closing statements, or y'all ready? Just ready for Sunday to be here.
All right. Look, I know we can finish up, but I did want to kind of talk about prop bets, and I didn't write any down. If either of you want to Google real quick, but one of the things that I am excited about is Usher's halftime. I think that Usher gets kind of forgotten because he went full pop and I just don't think that he was hitting the chords that he was earlier on in his career. But Road Trip last weekend and Apple Music had a Usher Road to the Super Bowl playlist, and some songs came on there where I was like, "Oh yeah, Usher is the shit." And so I'm really hoping that he comes out and plays like all the classic hits, like all the My Way, and just I hope that he's like, I don't know. I'm excited about what I was excited about when I heard he was doing the show, but Ursher Raymond, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot of different prop bets here.
I got kind of a top 10. This is from sportingnews.com. If you guys want to like run them real quick, we also don't have to. That's
Speed round.
completely up
Speed
to
round.
y'all. Okay, speed round. Length of national anthem in seconds. Over or under 87 and a half.
I'll take the under.
Are you writing these down? You keeping up with these?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, I'll go over.
Going over. Okay. I'll go over. Coin toss result, heads or tails?
Heads, always heads.
Oh, it's always tails. Tails never fails.
I'm gonna go tails on this one as well. I don't know why, just weird feeling. Game winner. That's not even a prop bet, so we can skip
that's
that
just
one.
like the bet. Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
a bet.
Game total. We've got 47 and a half over under.
Hold on, let me do some math. Under.
Damn, I don't know. It falls in my.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over.
That's
I think
how
this
you're
is
going.
It's going to come down to like a very pushy game. Like it's going to get to a point where they have both run as much as they can. Now they have to. Last like 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. Like it's going to get very pushy. So
based on what I've called, it would be under. So I'm going to go the under on that. Santana's taking the over. Normie's working on it.
No, I got under.
You got under as well. Okay. How about first offensive play of the game, run or pass?
run.
Yeah, I think we're all there.
And I would be pissed if I was a Kansas City fan, 49er fan, whoever. If the first play isn't up the gut, I'd be pissed.
Okay. Will there be a score in the first 6 minutes and 59 seconds?
That is a tough one.
I'm gonna go no, because I think that Kansas City gets the ball first, and I think San Francisco gets a stop. And I think that what would have to happen for both teams to get something bad would have to happen for either team in an explosive way in the first 6.5 minutes.
I am going to say yes. I think somebody kind of jumps out. Once again, I am seeing kind of a defensive struggle happening, but I think one of the two sides will kind of be in panic fan-wise. I don't know about like actual like coaches and players. Kind of be in panic mode for a second. So I'm going to say yes on that one.
I'm gonna go with yes. That's a tough one though, because I mean
it is tough.
Because either team is definitely capable of getting the ball and having a 7-minute drive to start off the game.
Okay, team to score first.
San Francisco.
Chiefs.
Jake Moody's going to hit a 45-yarder. It's going to be 3-0 after KC has already had a possession.
This is a tough one. I'm going to go San Fran on this one too, actually. But obviously Normie's already given his breakdown on it, so he's consistent on this. He thinks Chiefs jump out early and then kind of stall in the second. So very consistent. Way to go. Jersey number of first touchdown scorer, odd or even?
Even. Pacheco.
Odd. Any of my guys.
Are they all odds? I mean,
19, 19, 11,
11.
85, 13, 23. Oh, unless it's use check, 44.
Yeah.
if use checks the first, like that's the prop that we have to go lay in Vegas.
Well, and then it becomes Sean's MVP race that we're talking about.
Yeah, no doubt, absolutely. That would start pushing it that way. Normie, you're going even.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Man, I'm thinking San Fran scores first. I think it's Christian. I'm going odd. He's 25, I believe.
23.
23. Okay. Odd. Somewhere in there.
Elijah's 25.
First, yeah, you know how much I like Elijah. I really do.
Well, if Christian breaks a huge one, and then he taps out, I could see it.
First accepted penalty will happen on or against which team?
The Chiefs.
Kansas City holding.
That's what I was gonna say. It'll be a Chiefs. Well, no, it'll be a Chiefs false start.
Okay, you guys both got KC. Just to play, I have no clue on this. This is just to be different. I'm going to say San And very last one out of our top 10 on sportingnews.com is score in the final 2 minutes of the half, yes or no?
I'll say yes, and I'll say it's San Francisco with a field goal.
I think it's yes, and I think it's I don't want to play anymore.
Okay, so Normie say yes, and Santana says opt out.
but also yes. I just don't want to say what team I thought it was going to be.
And Kenyatta, once again, I've already said that it's going to also try and stay consistent. I think it's going to be kind of a defensive struggle. I've already got the under and everything.
Mark this down for next week. Sorry to interrupt. Mark this down for next week. According to Bleacher Report, Devin Hester and Julius Peppers headline Hall of Fame class. Antonio Gate misses the cut. Devin Hester specifically for returns, right? Like that's what he specifically gets in for. How Antonio Gates doesn't get in the same class, or not to take away from Devin Hester, it's just Antonio Gates is a top 5 to 10 at his worst tight end guy, I think. Love me some Julius Peppers. Okay, continue, Kenyatta. I'm sorry. Mark it down.
No, that's all. That was all of them. That was all 10.
Okay, cool.
Yes. So more viewing content for those that view. I got it marked down. That is shocking, but once again, we can delve into that later when we are not 2 hours into a show. Because I think it is food for thought as far as the whole system. But once again, we can talk about that later.
All righty. Well, all we're waiting for now is for Sunday to come and the game to be played.
I can't wait
for them to roll that ball out of the field. It'll be a fun one. It'll be a fun one.
In the dark, lights off, volume low.
Even your cell phone like brightness low.
In the yard. Cell phone will not be here. Yeah. Unless I'm in the truck, just curled up watching it in the truck by myself. We'll see.
All righty. It was a great show. Great conversation. And if you thank you for everybody that showed up in the chat. Thank you for everybody that's watching on the replay. And if you don't mind, hit that like button down there. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button as well and the bell so you can get a notification every time we go live or do videos. So it's, like I said, been a great one, and game's almost here. We'll see y'all. We see y'all at the next week on Thursday, and maybe before, depending on the outcome. So
We can do it either way. We can do it either way.
either way, all right.
Yeah, because I'm gonna need it, man. I'm gonna need it, even if I just have my head in my arms on the keyboard right here, like, and y'all just talk about it. Yeah, that's fine. I'll need it. I'll need it. I'll need the sports support.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll see y'all next time.
Love y'all. Appreciate it.